My name is Mufti Menk, and I welcome you to a place of peace, reflection, and connection with Allah. Here, we speak about the heart before the world, about finding true happiness not in people's praise, but in the remembrance of the one who created you. We talk about turning your pain into prayer, making dua your safe haven, and trusting Allah when life feels uncertain. You'll find gentle reminders to never lose hope in His mercy, patience through His wisdom, and the strength that comes from walking the path He loves. Every word here is for your soul, every reminder is for your heart. If you seek light in your darkness, you are in the right place. Subscribe, join our growing family, and let us walk this journey together towards Allah and towards the peace your heart has been searching for. Your peace is one of the greatest gifts Allah has placed within you. It is not something that can be bought, earned from people, or built upon the fragile foundation of someone else's opinion. It is a blessing that comes from Allah's mercy, a light He places in the heart that remembers Him. Yet too often, we hand this light over to others without even realizing it. We let their words decide our mood. We let their silence make us feel unworthy. We allow their treatment to dictate whether we feel valued or forgotten. And in doing so, we give them the keys to a treasure that was never theirs to hold. When your heart depends on people for happiness, you are building your contentment on shifting sand. People will love you one day and forget you the next. They will praise you in public and criticize you in private. They will stand by you in good times and vanish in hardship. But Allah never changes. His love is constant, His mercy endless, His presence unshakable. That is why the believer learns to anchor peace, not in the approval of creation, but in the remembrance of the Creator. The Prophet reminded us that the hearts are between the fingers of the Most Merciful, and He turns them as He wills. If the hearts of people are in His control, then why would you tie your own heart to theirs? Why not tie it directly to Him, the one who never forgets you, never abandons you, and never stops providing for you? When you place your peace in the hands of people, you will always live in uncertainty. But when you place it in the hands of Allah, you live with security no matter what the world does. There will be moments when someone's words cut deep, when their actions feel like a betrayal, when their absence feels like a wound. In those moments, Satan will whisper to you to replay the hurt over and over, to let it consume your mind, to make their behavior the center of your thoughts. But a heart connected to Allah refuses to let hurt linger. It turns instead to the one who heals all wounds. It says, "Ya Allah, you are enough for me. Guide me to overlook what they have done, and fill my heart with your light, so that I am not dependent on theirs." The more you practice this, the more you will see people's actions as just that, actions. They will no longer define your worth or dictate your joy. You will be able to stand in the storm and still feel calm inside, because your shelter is not made of human promises, but of divine protection. Remember the verse where Allah says, "Indeed, the friends of Allah, there will be no fear concerning them, nor will they grieve." This is not because life never hurts them, but because they never let the hurt take them away from Him. Protecting your peace does not mean you stop caring about people. It means you care without attaching your happiness to their response. You give for Allah's sake, not for the sake of applause. You love for Allah's sake, not because you expect that love to be returned in the same way. And when you do this, you are free. You are no longer chained by the moods of others. You are no longer tossed around by their changing opinions. You stand firm because your peace is not in their hands, it is in His. There will always be people who misunderstand you. There will be those who think less of you, speak behind your back, or withdraw when you need them most. Let them. Your value was never written in their words. It was written by Allah before you were even born. What He decreed for you cannot be taken by them, and what He withholds from you cannot be given by them. This is why the believer sleeps with a heart at rest, even after a day filled with trials. They know their peace is not fragile. It is guarded by the most merciful. So the next time someone tries to shake your peace, remember whose gift it is. Do not hand it over so easily. Hold it close. Guard it with hikr, with dua, with patience. And when you feel it slipping, run back to Allah before you run to anyone else. In His remembrance you will find a peace no one can touch. In His mercy you will find a love no one can take away. Your peace is too precious to be left in human hands. Keep it with the one who gave it to you. People change, their moods shift, their priorities move, their hearts turn in ways you can never control. A promise made today may be forgotten tomorrow. A hand that held yours in one season may let go in the next. This is the nature of human beings. We are weak, forgetful, and limited, but Allah never changes. His promise is eternal, His mercy is constant, and His knowledge of your situation is complete. When you expect from people, you prepare the ground for disappointment. But when you expect from Allah, you prepare the ground for peace. The heart that ties its hopes to creation will live in a cycle of hope and hurt. You wait for someone to come through for you, and when they don't, your spirit feels crushed. You rely on someone to keep their word, and when they break it, you feel betrayed. This is not because people are always malicious, but because they are human. They have limits, they have weaknesses. They have their own struggles that may make them fail you without even intending to. But Allah never fails. He never forgets a promise, never ignores a prayer, never leaves you without provision. When you expect from Allah, your heart stays steady. You work hard, but you do not rely solely on the work of your hands. You rely on His decree. You love people, but you do not base your joy on their return. You base it on His approval. You plan for tomorrow, but you do not depend on circumstances. You depend on His will. This is what it means to free yourself from the chains of human expectation. How many times have you placed your trust in someone only to be left disappointed? How many times have you been certain that a person would stand by you only to see them walk away? And yet, how many times has Allah provided for you in ways you could never have imagined? How many times has He answered your dua when you thought the door was closed? How many times has He brought comfort to your heart in the dead of night, when no one else even knew you were hurting? This is the one you are meant to expect from. The Prophet taught us that when you rely on Allah completely, He will provide for you just as He provides for the birds. They leave their nests hungry in the morning and return full in the evening. They don't store away supplies for weeks or months. They don't control the rain or the crops. They simply do their part and trust in the one who controls all things. If even the smallest creatures live under His care, then what about you? Expecting from Allah does not mean you cut people off or refuse help. It means you see people as a means, not the source. The source is always Allah. If someone helps you, you thank them, but you thank Allah even more for sending them. If someone fails you, you forgive them and remind yourself that they were never the true provider of your needs. Allah was, and Allah still is. This shift in thinking transforms your life. It makes you calmer, more patient, and less reactive to the ups and downs of human behavior. When you place your hope in Allah, even delays are blessings. A prayer not yet answered becomes a chance to grow in patience. A door that closes becomes a protection from harm you could not see. A disappointment becomes a redirection towards something better. Allah's plan is not always what you imagined, but it is always what you need. This is why the believer says, Hasbun, Allahu wa ni'mal wakil, Allah is sufficient for us, and He is the best disposer of affairs. Your expectations shape your peace. If you expect perfection from people, you will always feel let down. But if you expect perfection only from Allah, you will live in gratitude, If you expect people to fill your heart, you will feel empty when they leave. But if you expect Allah to fill your heart, you will remain whole even when you lose everything else. The next time you feel disappointment rising within you, pause and ask yourself, was I expecting from them, or was I expecting from Allah? If it was from them, release it, redirect it to the one who owns all outcomes. Raise your hands in dua and tell him your needs, your fears, your desires. He already knows them, but he loves when you turn to him. And when he gives in ways no human can match, in perfect timing, in perfect measure, with perfect wisdom. Your heart will find rest the moment you stop expecting the unchanging from the changeable and start expecting only from the one who never changes. True emotional strength is not about never feeling pain, never shedding tears, or never facing fear. It is about having something so steady inside you that no matter how much the world trembles, you remain anchored. That strength comes from tawakkul, complete trust in Allah. It is knowing deep in your heart that nothing happens except by His will, and nothing is withheld except by His wisdom. It is living with the certainty that His plan is better than your own, even when you cannot yet see how. Life will shake you. It will test you with loss, with change, with unexpected turns. The people you thought would always be there may leave. The plans you made may fall apart. The path you thought was straight may twist in directions you never imagined. In those moments, you have a choice. You can let fear and doubt take control, or you can plant your heart firmly in the soil of trust in Allah and refuse to be uprooted. Tawakkul is that choice. When you rely on people, you live with uncertainty. When you rely on your own abilities, you live with limitation. But when you rely on Allah, you live with stability, because you are tied to the one who controls every heartbeat, every sunrise, every opportunity, every outcome. Allah says in the Quran, "And whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him." This is not a poetic phrase, it is a promise from the Lord of the worlds. If He is sufficient for you, then what fear can overpower you? Tawakkul is not passive. It does not mean you sit and wait for things to happen without effort. It means you take every step you can, using the means available to you, while knowing that the result is entirely in Allah's hands. You work as though everything depends on your effort, but you trust as though everything depends on Him, because in truth it does. This balance between effort and trust is what gives a believer unshakable strength. Imagine standing on a bridge in a storm. The wind is fierce, the rain is pouring, and you can barely see the other side. Without tawakkul, you panic. You look at the waves below and feel certain you will fall. But with tawakkul, you know that the one who put you on this bridge will take you across it. You grip the rope tighter, not because you believe in your strength alone, but because you believe in the strength of the one holding you steady. The companions of the Prophet lived this reality. When they were outnumbered, outarmed, and outmatched, they still advanced because their hearts rested on Allah's promise. They knew that victory was not in numbers or weapons, but in the help of Allah. And when that help came, it came in ways that no human strategy could explain. This is the same help available to you when you place your trust in Him completely. The truth is, the storms in your life are not meant to destroy you. They are meant to show you where your heart is anchored. If it is anchored in money, it will shake when your wealth is tested. If it is anchored in people, it will shake when they disappoint you. If it is anchored in health, it will shake when illness comes. But if it is anchored in Allah, it will not break, because He is the most steadfast. Tawakkul also brings peace in the face of the unknown. We spend so much of our lives worrying about what will happen next, fearing what might come, and clinging to a false sense of control. But trust in Allah teaches you that you don't need to know every detail of the future. You only need to know that He holds it. He sees what you cannot see. He knows what you do not know, and He chooses for you with more love and mercy than you can comprehend. When your heart is trained to trust Him, even delays feel different. You stop seeing them as denials and start seeing them as divine timing. You stop measuring success by how quickly you get what you want and start measuring it by how closely you stay to Allah through the wait. This is why those with true tawakkul can endure trials that would break others, because their hearts are already resting in the one who carries them through. And remember, tawakkul is not only for moments of hardship, it is also for moments of ease. When blessings come, you trust Allah enough to use them in ways that please Him. You do not become arrogant, thinking your effort alone brought them. You remain humble, knowing that without His mercy, you could have been deprived of them. In every season, joy or sorrow, gain or loss, tawakkul keeps you balanced, steady, and at peace. If you want true emotional strength, let your heart rest on the one who never falters. Speak to Him in your quiet moments. Hand Him your worries before they grow heavy. Thank Him for every small gift before it is gone. And when the world shakes around you, remember that your heart can remain firm, because it rests on His promise. There is a heaviness that comes from holding on to hurt, a weight that sits deep inside the chest and refuses to let you breathe freely. It grows heavier the longer you carry it, pressing down on your heart until it changes the way you see the world. Anger begins to seep into your thoughts, bitterness clouds your judgment, and pain steals the sweetness from your days. You may think that holding on to this hurt somehow keeps you strong, that it protects you from being hurt again. But in reality, it is only draining you, consuming the peace that Allah intended for your heart. Forgiveness is not about pretending the wrong never happened. It is not about saying that what was done to you was right. It is about choosing to release the grip that pain has on your life. When you forgive for the sake of Allah, you are not excusing the wrongdoing. You are simply deciding that your peace is worth more than holding onto resentment. You are handing over the matter to the judge of all judges, the one who knows every detail, every intention, and every hidden truth. There is an indescribable lightness that comes from letting go. When you no longer replay the betrayal in your mind, when you stop rehearsing the anger in your heart, you create space for healing, and that healing draws you closer to Allah, because in order to forgive, you must trust Him. You must trust that He will deal with justice better than you ever could. You must trust that He sees the tears no one else sees, and that He will never let any act of patience go unrewarded. The Quran reminds us, and let them pardon and overlook. Would you not like that Allah should forgive you? This verse is not just a command, it is a reminder of perspective. How many times have we wronged Allah? How many times have we fallen short, broken our promises to Him, and turned back only to ask for His mercy again? And yet He forgives us, He covers our faults, He welcomes us back. If we long for His forgiveness, should we not strive to extend that same mercy to others? Forgiving does not mean you must allow someone to hurt you again. Islam teaches us to guard ourselves from harm and to take the means to protect our well-being. You can forgive in your heart while still keeping a distance, setting boundaries, and learning from what happened. Forgiveness is for you. It frees you from the prison of bitterness. It is not a free pass for someone to continue their wrongdoing. When you hold on to grudges, you are carrying something heavy into every moment of your life. You take it to your prayers, to your sleep, to your relationships. It poisons your thoughts and robs you of joy. But when you let it go, when you say, Ya Allah, I forgive them for your sake, and I leave the matter to you, you step into a life that feels lighter. You begin to notice blessings again. Your smile becomes genuine. Your dua becomes softer. Letting go also allows you to grow. Pain can either break you or refine you. If you choose to forgive, that pain becomes a lesson, a stepping stone to a stronger heart. You begin to understand patience in a way you never did before. You start to see the wisdom in trials, that sometimes Allah removes people from our lives to protect us, to teach us, or to prepare us for something better. Sometimes the person you need to forgive is yourself. You carry regret over mistakes you made, over words you wish you could take back, over opportunities you missed. You replay the past and punish yourself for it. But if Allah is ready to forgive you when you repent sincerely, who are you to refuse that forgiveness for yourself? Let go of the self-blame that paralyzes you, learn from it, change what you can, and move forward. The act of forgiving is an act of strength. It is easy to cling to anger, it feels like control, but it takes far greater courage to release it and to trust Allah with the outcome. And when you do, you find a peace that nothing else can give you. You find yourself lighter, calmer, and more in tune with the mercy that Allah showers upon His servants every day. Release the burden, forgive for His sake, walk forward free of the chains of resentment, and let your heart rest in the hands of the most merciful. True happiness is not something people can hand to you. It is not found in the praise of others, in the number of compliments you receive, or in the approval of the world. Those things may lift you for a moment, but they are fleeting. People's opinions shift, their attention drifts, and what they give today they can take away tomorrow. If your heart depends on that kind of validation, you will spend your life chasing something that slips through your fingers every time you think you've caught it. Real happiness does not live in the hands of people, it lives in the heart that remembers Allah in every season of life. When your heart is connected to Allah, you carry contentment with you wherever you go. You find peace not because everything around you is perfect, but because you know that whatever happens is from Him and for your good, even if you do not yet understand it. You see His mercy in the smallest details: morning light, a moment of laughter, a prayer answered in an unexpected way. And when hardship comes, you still find a reason to be grateful, because you know He has not left you. This is the kind of happiness that cannot be shaken by loss, by rejection, or by the changing tides of life. Many people spend their lives waiting for others to make them happy, waiting for a friend to appreciate them, for a partner to love them more, for society to acknowledge their worth. But the reality is, even when those things come, the satisfaction fades. You start looking for the next moment of validation, the next proof that you matter. This endless search leaves you empty because it depends on something outside of you. Allah teaches us that the only contentment that lasts comes from Him. He says in the Quran, unquestionably, by the remembrance of Allah hearts find rest. This is not just a verse to be recited. It is a truth to be lived. Think of the heart like a vessel. If you try to fill it with people's praise, it will leak, because the vessel was never designed to hold such a fragile thing. But if you fill it with the remembrance of Allah, His names, His mercy, His promises, it becomes whole. It overflows with peace, and that peace touches every part of your life. You stop competing for attention. You stop comparing your journey to others. You stop feeling like your worth depends on how someone else sees you. When happiness is rooted in Allah, even silence from people does not bother you. You do not panic when no one notices your efforts. You do not feel invisible when the world is loud. Because you know that Allah sees every quiet act of good you do, every intention in your heart, every sacrifice no one else will ever know about, and His acknowledgement is worth more than all the applause of this world combined. This doesn't mean you stop enjoying the kindness of others. It means you enjoy it without becoming dependent on it. You can appreciate a compliment without needing it to feel whole. You can receive love from people without making it the foundation of your happiness. And when someone withholds those things, your heart stays steady, because your source of joy, was never tied to them in the first place. We live in a time where many people measure happiness by visible markers: how many followers they have, how many gifts they receive, how many people celebrate them. But those numbers mean nothing if your heart is empty. There are people who have everything the world can give: wealth, fame, attention, and still feel restless and unsatisfied. And there are people who have very little but wake up every day with a grateful heart, smiling at the blessings Allah has placed in their lives. The difference is where their happiness comes from. The Prophet lived a life of simplicity, yet his heart was filled with contentment. His joy was not rooted in material possessions or worldly power, but in his closeness to Allah. He could be tested with loss, with hunger, with difficulty, and still radiate peace, because he knew his mission, his purpose, and his Lord. If we follow this example, we begin to see that true happiness is not about what you have. It is about who you turn to. When your heart remembers Allah in both good and bad times, happiness becomes constant. It doesn't rise and fall with people's treatment of you. It doesn't disappear when life doesn't go according to plan. It stays with you because it is not built on the fragile foundation of human behavior. It is built on the unshakable truth that Allah is with you, that He loves you, and that every moment of your life is part of His wisdom. So stop chasing happiness in places it cannot be found. Stop expecting people to fill the space that was meant for Allah's remembrance. Let your heart bloom in gratitude for Him, in trust in His plan, and in the comfort of knowing that He is enough for you. Because when Allah is enough for you, you will find that you already have everything you need to be truly happy. When the heart feels the weight of betrayal, when trust has been shattered, and the warmth of companionship has turned cold, it is in those moments that the soul longs for a place of safety. People may try to comfort you, but their words often fade quickly. The wound still aches, the mind still replays the pain, and yet there is one refuge that remains open at every hour, one sanctuary that no one can take from you turning to Allah in dua. In the stillness of the night or the quiet of your own thoughts, when you raise your hands or simply lower your gaze and let your heart speak to its Creator, something beautiful begins to happen. The world may still be the same, but within you a shift begins. The restlessness calms, the storm inside starts to ease, and you realize that in the whisper of your prayer, you have found a strength no betrayal can destroy. Dua is not just the act of asking. It is the act of surrendering, of admitting to Allah that you are weak before His strength, that you are lost without His guidance, and that you are in need of His mercy every second of your life. When you pour your heart out to Him, you are not informing Him of your pain. He already knows it better than you do. You are cleansing your soul, unburdening your chest, and reconnecting with the one who holds your destiny in His hands. There is a reason the Prophet said that dua is the essence of worship, because it is not about eloquent words or perfect timing. It is about the state of the heart. A heart that turns to Allah first, before anyone else, is a heart that will never truly break. There will be moments in life where your tears flow not because of weakness, but because your soul finally feels the nearness of its Lord. Those who have tasted the sweetness of dua know that it is more than a request. It is a conversation with the most merciful. When you complain to Him, you are not dishonoring your patience. You are honoring your faith, because you know there is no one else who can truly fix what is broken. Sometimes you will not even have the words, but your silence will be louder than any sentence. Allah hears even the trembling of your heart, the pauses between your breaths, and the things you are too afraid to say out loud. When loneliness surrounds you and the night feels longer than it should, remember that dua was never meant to be a last resort. It is meant to be your first response. Before you reach for the phone to call someone, reach for the prayer mat. Before you seek sympathy from people, seek mercy from Allah. This is not because people are unworthy of your trust, but because the one who created you understands your hurt in a way no human ever will. People may want to help but be unable. Allah, on the other hand, is never unable. He says be, and it is. So why place your heart in the hands of those who cannot even control their own heartbeat? In dua, there is healing that time alone cannot give. Time may dull the pain, but dua transforms it. It takes the bitterness and turns it into wisdom. It takes the anger and turns it into clarity. It takes the feeling of loss and turns it into trust that what was taken was never meant to remain, and what is meant for you will never pass you by. When you sit before your Lord and let your tears fall, you are reminded that your worth is not tied to who stayed or who left. Your worth is tied to the one who fashioned you perfectly, who wrote your life with precision, and who promised that he is closer to you than your jugular vein. And it is in those intimate moments with Allah that you begin to see the betrayal, the hurt, the loneliness differently. You realize that perhaps they were not punishments but invitations, an invitation to return to Him more deeply than before. Perhaps Allah allowed someone to walk away so that you would stop leaning on them and start leaning on Him. Perhaps He closed one door so that your steps would be guided toward a better one. In dua, you do not just ask for solutions, you gain insight into why certain things had to happen. And that understanding is a gift that removes the bitterness from your heart. You may think that your dua is too small to matter or too repetitive for Allah to hear again, but know that every sincere dua is precious to Him, no matter how many times you repeat it. The Prophet taught us that Allah is shy to return the hands of His servant empty when they are raised to Him. So raise them often, not only in moments of desperation, but in moments of gratitude too. For the heart that remembers to thank Allah in times of ease will find Him near in times of difficulty. There will be nights when you will cry until your pillow is wet, but those same nights can become the ones you look back on with gratitude, because it was in those nights that you truly learned how to connect with your Creator. Dua turns the lonely room into a sacred place. It turns your tears into a form of worship, and it turns your pain into a bridge that takes you closer to Allah. No one can take away what you find in dua, because it is a bond between you and Him alone. It is your safe haven, your secret, your source of strength. When you walk away from your prayer, you may not see the answer immediately, but you will feel lighter. And sometimes that lightness is the first part of your dua being answered. Because Allah knows that before your situation changes, your heart must change, and dua does exactly that. It shapes your heart into one that can handle both the blessings and the tests with faith. So let dua be the place you run to when the world feels unsafe. Let it be the safe haven where you are never judged, never abandoned, and never misunderstood. For in the whisper of your prayer, you are speaking to the Lord of the worlds, and there is no greater comfort than that. And when you walk out into the world again, your heart will carry a quiet strength, because you know you have been heard. May Allah fill your heart with peace, your days with light, and your soul with contentment. Remember, turn to Him in ease and in hardship, for He is always near. Until we meet again, keep your heart connected to Allah and never lose hope in His mercy. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.